goes out.
Of course she does.
Well, Nate, I guess you and I are here.
Yeah, we are. Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Casual Convo Friday. Miss Tisha is having a little bit of some technical difficulties, so me and Gary's going to push on, and I'm going to get to kind of run the show here. All right. All right, Gary. Well, look, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll put Tisha back in here as soon as she can get sorted out. But let's hear a little bit about the Y Institute. Talk to us about the Y and how you got started, and just go ahead and lead into that. What's the essential first step that makes for the Y and what you're trying to do with people that you're working with?
Well, we believe that knowing your why is the essential first step in self-awareness. There's a lot of great assessments out there right now. Like there's Myers-Briggs, there's Strength Finders, there's Colby, there's so many really good ones, and they're all very, very valuable, but they're not your why. And your why is that first step. So if you know your why first, then all the rest of them make a lot more sense to you. Then you can use them so much more effectively when you start with your why. And so, I was on that path myself, trying to figure out, why do I do what I do? About 10 years ago, I'm a dentist, actually.
Okay.
And about 10 years, and you got a great smile there, Nate. So about 10 years ago, I was trying to figure out how to stand out in the crowded dental market space, right? I'm in Albuquerque. And so that's when I saw that book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. And a lot of us have read that. A lot. You've seen it probably, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great concept. Why, how, what? It's a great concept, and it makes sense, but you can't do anything with it unless you know your why. How about why? And so I became obsessed with discovering my why. I actually called Simon, said, I need you to help me discover my why. He and I spent about 8 months together, going back through my life, looking at all the significant events that had happened until I finally discovered my why. And my why, Nate, is to find a better way and then share it. That's what every aspect of my life is about, from the inventions that I have to the trademarks to everything that I do is always about finding a better way and then sharing it. And so once I figured out my why, I figured out the process for helping other people discover their why. And then once I did that, I started helping people discover their why. Anybody who would let me. So Nate, if you were sitting next to me on an airplane,
yeah,
you were going to get your why discovered.
All right. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, let's just bleed into that. So, let's say you're working with me, right? And yep. I totally understand the concept of why, because like the big thing is if you don't know why you're doing something, how are you going to either, most importantly, help others, but also like, how are you going to actually like turn that into a business or turn it into a purpose? If you don't know what you're doing, people aren't going to buy into what you're selling. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So let's run through that process. If yep. I'm telling you like, man, I've been grinding away for months or years or whatever, and I've been, making a little bit here, making a little bit there, and I've experienced a little growth, but I really just don't even know why I'm doing it. Like, what's your next steps? Walk me through it, just like if I was going to be working with you.
Well, so when I speak at events around the country, I'll say something like, when you know your why, what you do has more impact. What you do has more meaning. What you do has more direction. And people will say to me, yeah, I know what you mean. I know my why. And I'll say, oh, really? Okay, great. What's your why? And they'll say, well, I got 2 little kids at home, and that's why I'm working the way I'm working, or that's why I'm working the job that I have. And I'll say, or they'll say something, they'll show me a little picture of like a red dress or something on their phone and say, I gotta be in this dress for a wedding in 6 months. And so that's why I'm working out so hard. And so what they're talking about, Nate, is a short-term motivation for doing things the way that they're doing it. And so that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, what is that gift that Nate has? Why does Nate do what he does everywhere he goes, in everything that he brings, or in everything that he does? So I wish Tisha was here, because we've taken her through this process, but obviously she's having technical problems. And so let's talk about her since she's not here. And,
absolutely. That's the perfect time to do it.
So Tisha's why is to contribute to a greater cause, add value, have an impact in the lives of other people. And so when you look back in her life, do you see that in her?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In everything she does, she's trying to find a way to have an impact. That's what this Casual Convo Friday is about. That's what her entrepreneurial programs are about. That's why she's at Arizona State in the entrepreneurial program, is to use her time, her money, her energy, her connections to push other people forward. That is her why. It isn't her little kids. She does have kids,
Sure.
and that's why she does some of the things that she does. But that's not who is Tisha. Who is she at her core? And so, Nate, I did this with so many people all over the world, on stages, on Skype. I'd bring people out of the audience on stage with me, and I'd take them through a process of discovering their why. It takes a little more time than what we have right now to do that. But I did this so many times that I started to keep track of all the whys that I discovered. And I found that there was only 9 different whys. That's the most important thing that I was able to discover, because once I saw that, then I was able to write a software program, create the algorithm, write the software program where you can now go online at whyinstitute.com and discover your why. And that's what Tisha did. That's how she was able to discover her why. So in your case, we could dive into that. I wish we had already had you discover your why, because it would make our conversation a lot easier.
Sure. Well,
but
we can talk about the why. I mean, my biggest why is the reason that we do what we do is we like to help businesses get over that hump of their self-limitation. And we do that through processes and protocols, building infrastructure. That last thing that every business owner or company thinks about is picking up the pieces that they've left behind while they've trudged through life building their business, and now it's time to organize it, make it run more smoothly and stuff. So my why is all about improving productivity and overall just that team building that goes on within companies that actually run like companies, or run like well-oiled machines, because that's where we like to get companies to, and a lot of times they don't realize that they're not there until somebody shows them how. So that's kind of why that's really why we like to do it. Most of the company is veterans. Me and my business partner, we're both veterans. We were in the Army together. That's where we met. And so we enjoy that same process that we like to do when we're in the military.
So do you feel more successful, Nate, when you're able to get somebody outside their box, or when you're able to help somebody solve their problem?
I like it the most when we get people to push their limits. That's the big thing. Yeah. Fixing problems, that's too easy. A lot of times people are like, I'm having this problem. It's really, causing all these issues, blah, blah. And then, with our experience, a lot of times the problems that we solve in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Hold on one second. So what I want you to do is talk in terms of me, I, not we. So this is me.
Okay.
Not you and your partner, but just you.
Yeah. All right. Let's
Okay. So are you somebody that thinks outside the box, doesn't follow the rules, kind of does your own thing? Or are you somebody that stays,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I've walked to the beat of my own drum my entire life. I mean, that's 100% true.
Yes. So, and I could tell I was kind of vacillating between a couple of the whys, but I would say, Nate, that your why is to challenge the status quo and think differently. Imagine extraordinary, see things other people don't see, and help people get outside their box. Does that feel right to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was part of this this small company one time, and we went to do this team building thing, and during the whole time, they kept settling on like, okay, we're hitting the minimum desired outcome, in every little exercise we were going through, right? And I kept saying, this ain't going to work. Like we need to at least try to break through this. Like just hitting the minimum and stopping is not why we're here. And, it led to me parting ways with that company, because like, I was just like, if we're not going to grow, I'm going to go out here and start a company that's going to help people grow, because this is the doing the bare minimum is not the lifestyle I like to live. Like I like to explore, and I like to talk to people in circles where their knowledge is well above mine. I don't like being the big fish in a small pond. I like to be the little tiny minnow in the big ocean, and I've got to figure out a way to keep swimming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there is your why, and then there's your how, and then there's your what. So why you do what you do, how you bring that to life, and what other people can count on from you. Basically, why you take action, how you take action, and what action you take. And so your why then is to challenge the status quo and think differently. Now, we could also go through the process of figuring out how you go about doing that and what people can count on from you. And just based upon what we're talking about now, I would guess that your how is to make sense of the complex and challenging and figure things out. You still got to go figure it out, right? Let's think bigger, but then let's go figure out what we need to do to make something happen. And then what you bring is probably a better way. Do you find like this, the ideas that you come up with when you figure it out, you've come up with something that's better?
Yeah, I mean most of the time, but just simply because like you don't get I don't allow myself to get stuck in that rut of there's only one way to do something, you know,
Yep.
and that's the big thing. And actually, I think that segues into a good question that we're being asked here, if you don't mind answering.
Sure.
All right. So we've got Dr. Sanchez. How do you feel about causality? Plays into the process of the why discovery.
Causality?
Yeah,
Wow,
my bad.
whoever asked that, I would love to know what they mean by causality, because that is not a term that I'm very familiar with. So I don't, causality. I could guess at it, but causality, what causes it, or whoever asked that, please ask that. Please define causality for me so that I know what you're really asking me, because I'm not actually sure. Some questions that I get that be in line with that is, where does your why come from, and when is your why formed?
Mm-hmm.
And so the that believes that it was God given, that you were born with, and others that believe that it's an event that happened to you in your life that caused this to happen. When you were really small, something happened and put you in that direction. And those are great questions. And so it's funny, Nate, when I'm on stage and somebody raised their hand and asked that question, what do you think would be the best way for me to answer that? You think I ought to answer it?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I hear
no matter
you.
what I say, right? There's no way to prove it. I cannot prove it. I have what I believe, and I believe that it's something that was in you and you're born with, but I can't prove that. And I can't prove that it was something that was born, that happened to you when you were a kid. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it came from. All that matters is that you know what it is, so that you can use it in your life. Because if you don't know what it is, you can't use it. It's like gravity. If you don't believe in gravity, well, it's still here. But when you understand about gravity, then you can use it to your advantage. We can send people to the moon because we know about gravity.
I can agree with that.
Right? Does that make sense? So no matter what I say, it'll cause half the room to be mad at me. So I've learned that you just say, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I can't prove it, but it doesn't really matter.
No,
Bottom line, it doesn't.
I'm with you. 100%. We do have a response back about that question, though. So he says, causality is influenced by which one event, process, or state contributes to the production of another event, process, or state where the cause is partly responsible for the effect. So I think he's just getting into like, the causality of is something influencing your why more so than you choosing your why. You know.
Yeah, great question. So what I have seen is that your why is something that, again, it doesn't matter where it comes from, but once you know it, I have not seen it change. It's something that stays with you over life, because once you know your why, let's take you, for example, Nate. Mm-hmm. When you were a little kid, were you a rebel, or were you somebody that followed all the rules?
Oh, I've always just kind of laid outside the rule area there.
Right. So that's what I mean. When you know your why and then you look back on your life, you'll see how it's played out in your life. And you have always been that guy that beat to his own drum, didn't follow the rules, didn't read the recipe, does his own thing, right? That is who you are. And now that you have the words to go with it, I can now appreciate that in you. Otherwise, I have really no idea. You know, you're a face on the screen right now. But now that right? But now that I know your why, I get you. I see how to communicate with you. I know the way that you think and what's kind of going through your head right now because I know your why. And that's super valuable when it comes to relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So, if I know that you're not somebody that's going to follow the rules, well, I'm not going to stick you in a job where you're going to be stuck in a cubicle, right, all day. You're going to go crazy. Or I'm not going to say, Nate, draw in the lines only. You're like, well, I can't do that. Ain't going to happen.
I want to draw something else. Don't you
I'm going my own way. But it's great when it comes to let's see how we can use this now. So Nate, you are somebody who thinks outside the box. So you help people market their businesses as well? Is that what you said?
I mean, we get into the marketing. The big thing that we do is we overhaul an entire company from head to toe, infrastructure all the way out to outreach into the community. So we get into it. We get into the relationship building, and we even bring relationships in from all of our previous clients or our current clients to where we're like, hey, we know you guys can help out here. Let's build some relationships. I mean, we get all into everybody's businesses.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is trust important to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing about us is companies are trusting us to take their company to the next level that they've been trying to get to. And that's a lot of trust. That's why you don't see us do a ton of advertising and marketing. Most of our sales comes from me getting out here or my business partner getting out here and building relationships with people that are in companies, and then them realizing, hey, I think we could get some help from this person. Most people are not going to turn over their entire operation for us to improve it because we put up a nice little video ad. That's just that trust factor is not there yet. It takes months to do what we do, and it's for good reason because it's a very involved process. So yeah, trust is a huge factor in us. It's not a high turnover rate.
So going back to your why, your how, and your what, I would say, we haven't had a whole lot of time to talk,
Sure.
but I would say that your why is to challenge the status quo and think differently. How you do that is by making sense of the complex and challenging things that they're facing. And then what you bring is a trusting relationship where they can count on you to help them move forward. Does that feel right to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we got people in the audience that agree with you. Dan Dominguez here, he asked Tisha, is Nate a challenge why? And that was early on in the set. Obviously I've been talking with Dan for a little bit, getting to know him as well. So let's
think about it. Hold on. Let me finish one thought on that, because now let's say we were going to be developing the messaging for your company, Nate. What is the name of your company?
Excellent Solutions.
Excellent Solutions. And so if you were to develop the messaging for your company, it would be around getting people outside their box, helping them imagine something they haven't seen before. We will help you think outside the box. We'll come in and help you solve the issues that you're facing, and we'll do it in a trusting way where you can count on us. We'll grab your hand and lead you guys to the next level. That's what you guys are all about. Does that feel right to you?
Absolutely. That's 100% nail on the head there.
And that's what happens when you know somebody's why, how, and what. Mm-hmm. If I don't know that about you, then I'm just hoping that I come up with something that you like, versus knowing that it's going to be spot on for what you bring to the marketplace. And you're going to do that, Nate, everywhere you go. Not just in your business. You're going to do that at home. You're going to do that in your relationship with me. You're going to do that in your relationship with the significant people around you. You're going to do that with Tisha.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be, you see that? And so that's the power of knowing your why, how, and what. And that's why you start there. And then all the other assessments will make more sense that'll go deeper into Nate's strengths and his weaknesses and his Colby and all those other things. Mm-hmm. So it starts with your why, your how, and your what. And now I have a much better idea who I'm talking to.
Absolutely.
And I like it.
So right? I got another question for you. So when somebody's, I know when I've worked with people in their marketing, or we're trying to develop their business or whatever, everybody ultimately makes the same mistake. They see all these avenues that they can gain growth from, and they try to, you know, grow too fast. They're like, I want to offer that. I did it as well. At one point, we offered 75 services. It was ridiculous. It was just more if somebody needed it done, we'd just take care of it. And that just got nuts, obviously. How do you help people focus on their why? How do you help them pinpoint that why down? Because I know a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, you know, I feel like I'm a challenger, but, you know, really I've got tendencies toward this too. And then this, you know, they just kind of start trying to go in every little direction. How do you get them to focus when you're working with them?
That's a great question. Okay, so here is who you want as your client. It's really important to be specific on who you want. And who you want is somebody who, and this is for everybody, not just for you, but who you want is somebody who believes what you believe. That's your ideal client. So in your case, Nate, you're looking for somebody who believes they need to get outside their box. And they're looking for somebody that will help them figure out how to do that. And they'll bring it to them in a trusting way where they grab their hand and walk them through it. That's who you're looking for. So you don't want every client. You don't want everybody who's out there. You want to focus your message on attracting people that believe what you believe. And so that's how you would do it. It's very specific. All the other ones, yeah, you could help them, but they're not going to appreciate you like somebody who believes that they need to get outside their box and they need to challenge what they've been doing and they need to see things differently. And so that's how you can laser focus onto the right client. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. I know I have to have that same conversation with a lot of people. You know, they're for instance, I was working with a small business one time, and I asked them, I said, you know, what revenue streams do you really just runs your business, right? Like, what's your big hitters? And they're like, well, we make money off all of them. I said, I'm not saying did you make money. I'm like, what do you enjoy doing, and what's best for your business? What is propelling your business forward right now? There's at least one service paying the bills because you're still in business, right? And so, you know, getting them to focus on that is like pulling teeth sometimes.
Well, that's why if you start with their why, in your just like we just did with you. So I'm glad everybody that's here got to, and I'm glad you asked that, Nate. I'm glad we got to use you, and thank you for letting me use you as an example.
Sure.
Because now everybody got to meet you in a way that they've never seen you before, and they get to understand you in a way that they've never seen. And so now answering life's challenging questions. Okay, when the question becomes how, Nate, the answer is your why. Let me explain what I mean. How do I find my passion? How do I know what direction I should go? How do I know where I fit? How do I know how to build my message for my business? When the question is how, the answer is your why. So let's go back through and answer those. How do I find my passion? Well, Nate, if I put you in a place where you get to help people think outside their box and challenge the way they've been doing things, will you have passion for that?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be working 24 hours a day.
You got it. How do I know where I fit? Well, if you're in a position, Nate, where people come to you to get outside their box and they value that in you, do you think you'll fit in there?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. How do you know what direction to go? Same thing. How do I build my brand? How do I build my message? It all comes directly from your why. So we believe that life's challenging questions become easier when you know your why, and that everybody just needs to know their why. And so that really is our goal. Well, our vision, Nate, is to be that essential first step in self-awareness. And now you can kind of see why that would be. If you just know your why, all the rest of it makes a lot more sense. If you don't know your why, you rely on hope. And hope's not that good of a strategy, right? But our goal is, yeah, right? And our goal is to impact 1 billion people by helping them discover, make decisions, and live based upon their why so that they can move forward faster and have a bigger impact. So that's really, I know that was like a mouthful there, but when the question becomes how, the answer is your why.
Absolutely. No, I can totally agree with it. I like the message that you have. I like what you're doing with people. And I think you have a good process. I mean, just from what we got to learn today, you know, obviously I knew that stuff about myself, but letting people know that. And that brings up another point. you touched on how to market that to people. There's no reason people can't just do what we just did right here and just have conversations about, hey, how am I helping people to move forward, or what am I doing for people, that kind of thing. Because I think that's the biggest thing that was lost for years on just like people going to websites that were designed poorly, or looking at social media that's not working or whatever, is they get the wrong idea of what an organization or a person by themselves is trying to do. I constantly have to like change what we do because the message gets lost to some people. Sometimes I catch myself talking above people because I get too technical, and I have to like break it down. Like, okay, how is it useful for you, and not just me sounding like I'm smart for the day.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a good segment for people to take from, and everybody, I encourage y'all to reach out to Dr. Sanchez here and work with him and help yourself. And this is where we're going to allow you to do a little selfless plug and tell us, what do you want us to know about you? Do you have something you would like to promote? That type of thing. So let's hear it.
Well, here's where I'm at. I'm looking for people that are looking for a better way to understand themselves. We believe there's a better way to understand, to self-awareness, and that's by discovering your why. And self-awareness is that essential first step as well to performing at the highest level. And so if you don't know yourself, how can you lead others? If you don't know yourself, how can you figure out where you want to go and what you really want? And so the first step in doing that is knowing your why, discovering your why. So if you want to know your why, just go to our website, whyinstitute.com, and take the why discovery. It'll take you about 5 minutes to do. Now, there's 1,500 possible question options, but you're only going to have to answer about 12 because I built it using logic-based programming. So you're going to only have to answer 12 questions. And once you've done that, you'll know your why. Now, you may sense it right now. Like Nate said, yeah, I've already known this about myself. But having the words, feelings completely changes me to use it. So you will have the words to articulate what your gift is and get you on the right path when you know your why. So go to whyinstitute.com and just do it. It's $47. It'll be the best $47 you've ever spent. Just go do it, and then we'll be in touch with you and help you for whatever next steps you want.
That sounds great. That's actually a pretty good deal, folks. I'd take advantage of it, especially if you feel like you've been trying to figure out where to go from here during these, this whole COVID situation when everything's been kind of haywire. So I would highly suggest everybody reach out to whyinstitute.com and take that assessment and figure out what your why is. Couple of quick little cleanup things. Obviously, Tisha's not here today, folks. She had a little technical difficulties. We still love her. We miss her, especially me, because I kind of needed help going through conversations sometimes. Another thing, too, is we appreciate Dan and everybody for commenting and asking questions. By all means, keep asking them. Keep asking them here. If you missed out and you're watching this video later, ask anything. All of us are happy to put you in touch with whoever and answer any questions that you might have. But Gary, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We'd love to keep doing stuff with you and see where the future can bring for everybody.
Nate, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on. Great questions. Thanks for letting me use you as the example because Tisha wasn't here. She was going to get you took the brunt of what we were going to do with her. See, so I appreciate that. You did a great job.
I know, on the fly. That's how I go.
Well, have a great Friday.
You too. Have a great weekend. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday. And hopefully Tisha can join us next time. I may take a vacation, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I worked too hard today. Y'all take it easy.
Thank you.